Hi there, Mike McArthur from the Oshkosh Public Library here with some more Oshkosh history with Librarian Learns. This is the series where I take a look at a bit of Oshkosh history that I've been asked about while at the library or that I've just wondered about myself while, living and breathing here. Today I'm recording this in the middle of January and it is like -30 out today, so my mind has wandered towards winter sports. And an interesting one that I never saw before moving to Oshkosh was ice boating or ice yachting. I've heard it referred to both and I'll kind of use them interchangeably. So certainly if you go out and look on the ice of Lake Winnebago in the wintertime, you might see some of these boats on the ice zipping around. They're out there today. 100 years ago, Lake Winnebago and Oshkosh was like the epicenter of the ice racing, ice boating age. Why? Well, let's take a look. So here's the short history on ice boating. Ice yachting originated in the Netherlands and the other areas around the Baltic Sea in the mid-17th century. The earliest Dutch designs looked pretty much like boats with some skis and a rudder on them. In fact, they could be sailed both in summer and winter. Dutch settlers brought these boats to North America, and by the mid-1800s, it was becoming popular in the United States, especially in the Hudson Valley area, particularly around Poughkeepsie. And Oliver Booth of Poughkeepsie is credited with starting ice boating as a recreational sport around 1790. And by the mid-1800s, they were searching for speed. So the old boats that you saw back in Europe got sleeker and faster. Around this time, mid-1800s, you also have the formation of these ice yacht clubs. For example, 1865, you had the Poughkeepsie Ice Yacht Club, followed a couple of years later by the Hudson River Ice Yacht Club, whose actual commodore, or the head of the club, was John E. Roosevelt, FDR's uncle. Ice yachting started to become geared towards racing by roughly the 1880s. By this time, interest in the sport had moved west into the kind of upper Midwest because they had the weather and they had the water for it to be really popular. Which brings us to Lake Winnebago and Oshkosh in general. According to Clarence Inky Youngworth, ice boating in Oshkosh dated back to 1878 when a E.S. Ostrag and Robert Ware sailed their craft 6 miles out into the middle of Lake Winnebago, promptly failed to make a turn and had to haul or drag the thing back to shore. Ice boating on Lake Winnebago didn't start as a recreational hobby or racing. It was very practical. They used their ice boats to haul hay and chickens and whatnot across the ice in winter. There are also some legends about, beer-guzzling lumbermen hopping on ice boats and kind of sailing into the moonlight up and down Lake Winnebago, raising hell from Neenah to Fond du Lac, too. Lake Winnebago became a popular ice boating destination because of its size, 30 miles across, 10 miles wide, and it just got really good ice. For ice boating, you really need a lot of solid ice, but not that much snow. You need a little warming so the ice can get smooth, and you need some wind. So ice boating is a really fast sport. Boats can easily travel 2 to 5 times the wind speed. So you imagine if the wind speed's 20 miles an hour, it could be going 60, 80. It's not uncommon of them to be able to break 100 miles an hour on the ice. The center of ice boating in Oshkosh was the Oshkosh Ice Yacht Club, which was associated with the Oshkosh Yacht Club, the one next to Menominee Park that was chartered in 1869. The Oshkosh Ice Yacht Club dominated the kind of golden era of ice yachting on Lake Winnebago, roughly 1920 to 1935. Boaters won numerous international championships, including the 2 most prestigious awards in the sport, the Stewart and Hearst Cups. Oshkosh's other prominent ice yachting club was the Southside Ice Yachting Club, founded in 1937 by Don Ward, who had something of a falling out with the other ice yacht club, and again, went to the Southside to start his. Sounds very Oshkosh to me, right? That club started, with only about 18 members. By 1953, they had made it to over 100. The club is still active today and is nearing, either this year or next year, its 90th anniversary. Let's take a look at some of the prominent ice boaters from Oshkosh. John D. Buckstaff was the son of Daniel Buckstaff, one of the founding brothers of the Buckstaff Company. John was a natural-born sailor and got a lot of early press in his early teens and earned the title as captain. Not ironically, he was very good. Buckstaff rode in a big wooden stern steer boats his entire career, which means he was steering from the back, as opposed to newer models, which eventually were developed, that actually steered from the bow. John Buckstaff was famous for sailing some of the biggest and most famous boats on the lake, including the Blue Bill, the Flying Dutchman, and the Debutante. He was actually so popular, he had an endorsement deal with Camel cigarettes and for like a heating company, which is, funny. Space heaters, ice boating, yeah. According to iceboat historian Mike Peters, who actually gave a presentation on iceboat history for the Wisconsin Maritime Museum in 2025 that I suggest you go look up and watch if you want a fuller, more detailed, more technical, and probably more accurate history on ice boating in Wisconsin. Mike Peters said the reason that Buckstaff was so important is that he was innovative. He tried new things even if they failed. He once built a mast made out of aluminum that promptly collapsed and was never tried again. But innovation was key for Buckstaff. Buckstaff's main boat was the Debutante, which was built in 1914 and actually still exists today, is owned by someone in Menominee, Michigan, in the winter of 1938, where he took to the ice in the Debutante, a 43-foot-long wooden stern steer, which was really the state-of-the-art ice boat of the day. With winds at about 30 miles per hour, Buckstaff clocked in at a record-setting 143 miles per hour. This got him entered into the Guinness Book of World Records as the fastest wind-powered craft. Now, somewhere around 2003, 2004, 2005, this record was expunged due to some technicalities and some questions about the veracity of the timing. But with all that other time, again, he still kind of holds the record for the fastest boat. Although I have seen a lot of things that have shown unofficially that boats have clocked in, near 150. John Buckstaff passed away on the morning of Sunday, January 10th, 1960. Later that same year, he was inducted into the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame. Another big name on the ice here at Oshkosh, of course, was Don Ward, the founder of the Southside Ice Yachting Club. Don Ward was born in Two Rivers in 1919, got his first ice boat at 10. He actually worked at the Buckstaff Company. He served in World War II. So in 1936, again, he had a falling out with the other ice yacht club and formed his own on the south side. He won hundreds of first place titles in all sorts of classes. He built his boats, he repaired boats, really just lived boating and sailing and ice yachting specifically. He raced boats for 54 years, eventually retiring in 1983 and moving out to Red Granite. Don passed away in 2003. Another big name on the Winnebago ice was Charles Nevitt, an avid sailor of both hard and soft water. Nevitt was born in Chicago in 1920. He attended the Oshkosh Teachers College here in town and trained actually as a pilot with Steve Whitman. He joined the Coast Guard in 1941, and later, while he was working insurance, he left that to become the harbor master at the Pioneer Marina. He sailed such famous ice boats as the Flying Dutchman 1 and 2 and the Witchcraft. He took home many trophies, including the kind of marquee trophies of the time, the Stewart and the Hearst Cups. He passed away in 2007. Another notable ice yachter here on Lake Winnebago was Joanne Weber. Unusual because there weren't that many women on the ice in the 50s. Southside Ice Yacht Club member Joanne Weber became the first official female ice yachter to win the title during the 1951-52 season. It took them a year to confirm this, but by the time they confirmed it the following year, she had almost done it a second time, coming in second in the 1952-53 season. So I learned something. If you like these videos and want to see more, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Have you been ice boating out on Lake Winnebago? How is it? Is it still as fast as it was back in the 1930s? Let me know. And with that, I will see you later.